Hi and welcome to Afternoon Tea episodes with Shawn Bradbury and Niyati Patel. Welcome. We are in July already. It is pretty warm, and we meet here to talk about all things about life, and especially to talk about us as individuals in a place of caregiving and contributing individuals in our families, communities, and indeed in our world. So you're welcome to join us. And Shawn here works with men in the second half of their lives, and I work with parents, helping them tune in, work with from their inner knowing, intuition, as they do the important work of raising their kids. And together today, we want to talk about something that happens all the time. Life changes. It changes all the time. How do we break out of the box? Because what worked yesterday may not work today. But then I'm the same person. It's not easy for me, say, for example, to do things differently when everything else changes. And I do spend some amount of time to trying to figure out how would I work through this new situation. Or, especially when it comes to families, when it comes to kids, when it comes to different aspects of family life, it's each person has their own way of doing things, their own awareness of things, and the decisions that need to be made may not always be in agreement with each other. And so it pushes us to a place of discomfort. So we want to talk about that. How can Shawn, how can you, the listeners, how do we want to see ourselves in a moment of difficulty or challenge and see the need to step into that discomfort? Or are we too focused on clinging to what we already know? And does that make it any better or not? And some of it is obvious in the way I express it, but we know when it comes to an actual situation, we all struggle with it in different ways. So we want to talk about that today. Shawn, do you want to help us get started with how we can break out of the box?
I think one of the first things is just to realize change is inevitable, right? We all love to be a part of something, but it's going to end. I was a part of this production of Matilda probably 5 or 6 years ago. You get in the routine of practice and showing up and meeting new people, and then you have the performances and you have the last performance, and all of a sudden it's over. And you're like, wow, what happened, right? And you got into that routine of showing up and doing what you needed to do, and you were having fun. So there's like all these little seasons that happen, whether if you're in plays, if it's a concert season or something that's going on, that there's some things do have like a shelf life that's shorter. Other things are much longer, like raising your kid, right, to 18 or beyond. Like my daughter just turned 18, graduated from high school. So there's all of these changes that happen, like kind of micro and macro changes, if you will, that we have to that are there for us actually to witness and be aware of, and how do you deal with it. So as you mentioned, I've got men in the second half of life who have spent years like putting everyone else first. Now that could be if you're a father, if you don't have any kids, maybe you're putting your job first and you're doing all of these things, right? Or you're just a married couple without kids, but you're putting the other person first too. It's like we become this identity, and then when that's over or something happens, where are you left, right? Or even if it's still there, you still deserve to have your own life and your own self. So the whole thing of putting yourself first is not a selfish act. You're taking care of yourself. And in essence, you're going to role model for other people who you are, and you're going to be the authentic version of you.
Also, any change, it makes me think of even with raising kids if when they're babies to they start going to school to them becoming teenagers. What's demanded of us is different because the personality of the child starts to grow as well, you know, and their level of dependency changes as well. And what might work before, like you could distract the baby and, keep going. You can't do that at a certain point very quickly. And I have noticed that this causes stress, conflict, tantrums. It starts off like that, and then it goes on to more stressful spaces of longer disagreements and arguments. And so it makes me feel that we have entered in those times a place of discomfort already when we experience it. And it's not that it should be there, it should not be there. It's just how can we show up for that? And oftentimes what I see, and even for myself, that I may enter the space of discomfort very differently than my parents or the kids. And so when you walk into the discomfort, even saying something like, I will, it's just saying something that I've always done and kind of stepping back or doing it differently, or like you said, putting myself first is also a place of discomfort because it changes all the dynamics because we're all playing out in this space of discomfort a certain way, and that kind of becomes the container or the box, if you will. And the challenge then becomes I'm not rejecting or excluding any of the people, but I want to be more inclusive so that I can include all parts of me. And the box that I'm functioning in is not doing that. And it takes something to step back and look at it, because then when I'm saying I will not be able to do something, or I would like something for something to happen, say to spend time together, or not do something the same way, like cook the same way like we've always done. I want to do this differently. It takes away some pressure off of me that I'm not pushing someone away, but I am also including myself. But even doing that is not very easy at the beginning. And again, I feel that it's not easy subsequent times, because then if I got along with saying, I will cook differently, now each time I do it differently, I add something else to it, because now I kind of feel, oh, maybe I can try this, maybe I can try that. And all my experience has been that each time I introduce the breaking out of the box for myself or within the context of my family, it is as hard each time. It's not like it gets easier, like, oh, we can do this. It invites a recalibration of where we are, each of us, and how we want to move forward. We do move forward. That happens because that's life.
Yeah. But there's a difference between, are we choosing to move forward, or are we forced to move forward?
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is, are people willing to see the box that they're in? I'm saying, even cooking something a little different, because we're programmed to, like, this was a good recipe and it came out good this way. Why would I want to screw it up if I want to try something different? You know what I mean? Or it's kind of like, you ever been in someone's kitchen, you go to put something somewhere else. That's not where that goes. You know what I mean? And you go over there, but I don't get mad because it's habit. It's like, that's where they know where it goes, right? but some people really take it to heart and they get kind of worked up about it, right? I think, and I think once you're willing to step out of the box and you do it numerous times and you get comfortable with the discomfort and knowing that it gets easier. So you're building that muscle of being in the discomfort zone, if you will, that it's not that bad. And then I think sometimes when you've learned that and other people haven't, there's a little bit of a distance between possibly you and them, because it's like you have to be aware of something, you have to look at something honestly, and it may require an action that you don't feel comfortable doing, even though it has to get done. You know what I mean? And that could be leaving a job, it could be breaking a relationship off or something. Instead of the easiest thing would be do is to stay in a relationship. I've done that. I'm guilty, right? You know, I've stayed at jobs, guilty. You know, it's like you give yourself these reasons why it might get better, or why you can suck it up, if you will, you know, but it's not doing you any good. So yeah, we to put ourselves in the box, we kind of like shave off of pieces of who we are. You know, it's like if I'm with a bunch of square people, but I'm a round peg, you know, how am I going to fit in there? You know what I mean? I got to start shaving my sides off.
Yeah, I think it's taken some time for me to see that, you know, like the kids game where you have all these little pieces that go into different shapes.
Yep.
And they're trying to put them in the right box, and, you know, it's a game. But when I look at that game, I go, we're doing that all our lives in different ways. And
like a metaphor, right?
And
it's not a good metaphor either. To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. But then if I look at it as the child eventually figures out, and then also sees the whole box as separate from itself, so it's not looking at itself as a small piece within those little other boxes.
Right.
So there is some learning there. Like, and if the child's going to learn it, we're going to learn it, and that we're going to learn it in different ways over our lifetime. But I was thinking about what you just said, like, you know, if you're doing something well, you just suck it up and you keep doing it because that's how it's, what are you going to do? Or I see it, you know, and it comes up in parenting as, or family, not parenting, but especially family, as it, not always, but it does come up as sacrifice. Like, you just gotta take it, and it compromises on walking into the discomfort in growing together. And again, there are many dimensions to it. There's no one right way, but it's like we're all, like, you know, going on a vacation and the flight's delayed. We're all put into a place of discomfort. And I've noticed that each person reacts to it differently. And that's kind of what we're doing in the family dynamic of breaking out of the box. And one of the first boxes you want to break out of is looking at your own reaction to it.
I love that. And Aaron and I recently, a few months ago, we went down to Florida to the studios, and on the way back, right as we got to the airport, thunder showers and everything like that. So we had delays upon delays, and we had short, really tight layovers. So we missed a few. So I went up to the desk multiple times to redo our flight. Now, this was the first time Aaron's like had this issue of like, we got to deal with this. Now, if I would have lost my crap and like come back and be all upset and everything, then that would have just passed the energy to her, and more likely she'd get worked up too. But I chose to stay calm because, first of all, there's nothing I can do about it. The weather's out of my control. It's like, I took it like, am I happy about it? Of course not. Are we going to be in the airport for hours and hours? Yep. You know, paying for expensive water and meals and all this other crap. But, you know, I was happy with how we both handled it. I think it started with me modeling calm and saying, hey, it's good. We're not going to, she's like, we're not going to make it. I know. That's why I'm up here talking to somebody, you know? So it's, and I talk about this a lot. It's really modeling the behavior that your kids see. You know, it's like if that kid falls down, you walk over and there's panic in your eyes, they're gonna be like, what happened? You know, but if you go over and you're like, oh, you're all right, you know. Um, so I think there's a lot to do with a lot to be said. And you made me think of that when you talked about the delay of flights.
Oh, but I'm thinking at the other side, like my mom will start to say, "Oh, so what's going to happen? When are we going? Are we, it's just nonstop." Uh, uh, and I'm the one taking care of her. So it becomes the opposite. And so you can have different dynamics. Now it's like even if I'm modeling, like I've got this under control, we're all going to get somewhere. Don't worry at some point. But that doesn't mean that me and my travel companions are on the same page.
I totally agree with you there. Yes. Doesn't mean that they're going to receive the energy and be calm too.
Oh, so those are different, and we're using the travel as an analogy, but this is something to reflect on as to what is the box we've kept ourselves in. So if I was talking about the travel, my expectation is everything should be working on time, and if something goes wrong, I get so upset that I have to go through every customer service and make sure they know how I feel about it. That could be one way.
People.
Is that a box that I want to stay in or not? Is that my box? There's no right or wrong. I mean, sometimes good things happen out of that. It's sometimes necessary. So it's I'm not dismissing that route, but all I'm saying is, what is the box I'm in? Just to be aware of it if I want to break out of it. If I don't know what box I'm in, I can't break out of it, and I can't really move through this discomfort. And the reality is that it'll come back. Just like we were talking about the kid playing with the shapes. That's going to keep coming back in different forms, different times of our lives, and in different situations. And each one of us is going to have our own box on the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to bring us to a conclusion here, but with room to think more about what is this box and what are we breaking out of. So if you want to shed some light on that before we close.
I just think, and talking from my own personal experience of breaking out of a box for decades, it was really being self-aware as to what am I not doing for myself? How am I not showing up for myself? How am I not being my authentic self? And it took being uncomfortable to create boundaries and everything like that. So I think it's a lot of it is to leave that box or that bubble, that safety bubble that we have also, because there's more outside of it. We're just not aware of it. So I would just, for me, it's really kind of going inward. What do I value and what is it going to take to find people and situations to kind of match those values and who I am as a person. I think that's going to enhance me as well.
That's really helpful. And it also brings me to think of when I look inward, and if I say yes to something, do I actually show up? Because if I don't, I feel like I'm not, like I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that watching myself. So why did I say yes if I didn't want to go? Those kind of conversations, simple, not too radical. But just kind of starting to look at myself and looking at how would I want to move through this? Did I enjoy it? I said yes because everybody else was going, but I didn't quite enjoy it. So do I want to do that again? Those kind of conversations. And these really matter as we raise our families, because we are going to move through changes. And when we don't face these conversations within ourselves, the whole troop can't move easily. It's going to play its own dynamic. It's not going to break you as much as a family, but it will create strains. It will feel as if things are broken, and it will feel like each one of us is alone. And to make that a more wholesome experience. This conversation with yourself helps in moving through the change better and identifying your own box so you can break out of it. So thank you for joining us. And as a special feature, we do have from Nimble Futures that's hosting this talk, an online e-course, which is self-study of how to engage your own conversation self-talk, the silent dialogue, how to train your self-talk, and it's available if you opt in before July 30th at no cost. So hit us up, comment, or write us, and we'll help you through that. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.